Hi everybody, my name is Emma, this is Emma Rosenbook, and today is the fourth video in a series of four, so it's the last one, all about how to write and publish your own children's book, all inspired by the fact that I wrote and published my own children's book. So today's video is, well, we've had writing, we've had how to illustrate or get an illustrator, we've had how to format your book, and today's about uploading. I'm going to go through how to upload your book on Ingram Spark and on KDP. There are loads of other platforms, but I just thought I'd give an overview. I've gone through pretty much everything except the pricing pages because, I don't know, money just seems personal, so I'm sorry, but they are straightforward when you get through those pages anyway. And just explained what the different things mean and what you can write in, you know, so that you can see what those pages look like. I hope that it's helpful, you know, when your book's finished on how to get it out there in the world. I have made a video before comparing KDP and Ingram Spark. So you can go and check that out if you want. Lily the Limpet is published through Ingram Spark. But yeah, you know, there's pros and cons to both. Just see how you feel. In case you're wondering, the reason why I published this through Ingram Spark, one is because I could do pre-orders, which I couldn't do on KDP, and two is because I wanted a saddle-stitched spine. So that's why. So here we go. Here is how to upload your book onto either KDP or Ingram Spark. And here comes my computer screen.
Okay, so I'm going to show you first how to upload your book to Ingram Spark. So this is how to do a children's book, but it's going to be very, very similar if you're doing a different kind of book. So if you've written an adult's book, you can still stick around and the process is going to be similar. So the title, let's just, for argument's sake, show you how I would do Lily the Limpet Gets Lost. So the subtitle, it doesn't have one, but if it did, then you could put it in there. Language, this is in English, and then a short description. Okay, so we add a description. I've just looked up what it is, so there we go. I'm going to paste that in. That's exactly the description that appears on the internet. Right, keywords. Think about the kind of things that people might type in to search for your book. So for Lily the Limpet, I'm looking for things like seaside. Oh look, you can literally see what I wrote in before. It's auto-correcting, auto-filling. So you can see the kind of things that I've picked. Children's poetry, rock pool, ecology, marine biology, shellfish, sea creatures, conservation. As you can see, you can do 250 characters. On Ingram, it has these question marks so that you can check, you can see what you're supposed to write in there. What I'm actually going to do, so that I can tell the difference between this fake book and the original, I'm actually going to make that Lily the Limpet, because then I should be able to tell anyway because it won't have the cover next to it, but I'm just a little bit concerned in case I accidentally delete the real book when it comes to getting rid of this one. Right, series name. So Lily is part of a series called Seaside Stories. Your book may not be part of a series, in which case you can leave this blank, and it's the first one in this series. If it's not the first edition of this book, then you can write that in there. And then full description. Now, you can just make the description the same, but if you have a longer description for some reason, then you can write a longer one in there. So we're going to continue. Step 2. Okay, this is where you add your contributors. So I can put in me, and I'm the author, and in this case, I had an illustrator. So I'll add in Evgenia here, Evgenia, and she was the illustrator. As you can see, there's loads of different options depending on what it is that you're publishing. Illustrator, there she is. And you can add a biography in there. You can add any information that you like. So continue. You also don't have to, which is why I didn't. So my imprint is already in here. However you bought your ISBNs, because for Ingram you need to supply your own ISBNs. So however you bought them, that and the name of your imprint, that's what goes in there. Right, subjects. Now these are BSAC subjects. It gives you a bit of information in here, BSAC codes, about what those are. What I suggest, sorry, you can see this is where I got my got the description from. I copied it out of Amazon. So let's open. Okay, so on here, bisg.org is where you can look up the BSAC codes. So, because it's really hard to do this on Ingram, if you look, if you type in find subjects, you've just got to literally type something into the dark, and you don't necessarily know what the options are, and if you don't type something that is an option, then nothing's going to come up. So if you go onto the website, you can see what the options are. So Lily is a children's book, so perhaps I would go for juvenile fiction, and it gives me some options, so I can look down and see. So have we got sea creatures of some kind, marine life? So then what I can do is go back to Ingram and I can search for marine life, and there it is. Okay, so you can do that. You can add more subjects, but you need at least one. That's how I do it. Theme of subjects I would do similarly, although the finding subjects isn't so bad on this one. So you get this sort of drop down menu thingamy. So you could say environment, and I could say the environment, and then I could say let's go for conservation of the environment. I can drop that down even further, so I can decide how far I want to drop it down. So I could go for this. But if you want to see what all the options are, again, you can just look up what theme of subjects are on a separate tab and look for something appropriate. Sorry, just editing Emma here. I just realised I never said what the regional subject bit is. It's if your book is specific to a particular region, so like England or Lancashire, or, you know, Lily's not specific, so that's why I left that bit blank. But yeah, if your book is particular to a certain region of the world, then you can type that in there. Now, audience, so this is a children's book. Obviously you just choose whatever's appropriate. Now with children's books you have to select an age range, and it's suggested that you choose a range of 2 years or 2 grade levels. For those of us in the UK, those are year groups rather than grades. We don't call them grades here. So Lily is for approximately age 5 to 7. What I'd suggest is find a book similar to yours, see what it's listed as. Grade range therefore would be around about year 1. Sorry, my dog's scratching in the background, sorry if you can hear that. Year 1 to year 3, maybe a bit less. Maybe let's go K to 2. K being kindergarten. If you have a table of contents, you add that there. If you have review quotes that you want to include, so maybe somebody fancy has reviewed your book, and you can put that in there, and then that will come up in your description online. So I do have illustrations, so I say yes, and they are colour, because of course they could be black and white, so colour. And in my case I've got 27 of my 28 pages have got illustrations on. So you then continue. Now this is where you choose a little bit more about your book. Now ensure when you're looking up your trim size, you should have already decided this before you formatted your book, but just a reminder that make sure your trim size is available for all the options you want, so for expanded distribution and so forth. You can find guides to all of that on IngramSpark and on KDP. So Lily is 8.5 by 8.5 inches, but you choose whatever's appropriate. And then it's colour, because it's illustrated, obviously that's your black and white, and your choice there is to have it on white paper. You can have colour, and you can choose whether you want it on £50 paper or £70 paper. Basically, if it's got a lot of colour on it and you don't want it to show through, you want to go for 70. Having seen Lily, the paper's not amazingly thick, so personally I wouldn't want to do it on 50, but you know, I don't know, other people might have done it differently. And I also went for premium colour because I wanted it to be as bright and vibrant as possible, but depending on exactly what you're doing will depend on what's appropriate here. So Lily's in paperback. I might make a hardback at another point, and here you can choose what kind of spine you want. So I don't believe this is an option on KDP. So perfect bound is where it's a bit like when you buy an adult's paperback and it's got like a straight rectangular spine that might have something printed on. There are limits to when you can write something on your spine, so your book has to be a certain thickness, and Lily was way below. So in your formatting you should have already figured that out. But because my spine would be blank and because my spine wasn't like a fancy colour, if you've got a nice pattern running over your spine or something because of the way that your front and back covers were, then maybe you wouldn't mind having a spine. But for Lily, it was white, and I just thought, you know what, in that case, maybe better not to have a distinct spine in that way. So I went for a saddle stitch. The other reason that I like saddle stitch is because the book can open flat and my illustrations run across 2-page spreads, so I thought that would be perfect. And 4 to 48 page count, as I've said on my formatting one, remember it's in page groups of 4, it's printed. So when you're thinking of your page number, remember you want it to be divisible by 4 because otherwise they're going to add pages to make it up to an appropriate number. So that's that. You can choose hardback if that's what you want to do. And then you get your choice is this cover, which I've seen online, looks nice. I might do one at some point, but yeah, it doesn't have a dust jacket. Anyway, so Lily is a paperback at the moment. There may be more versions at a later date. You can then decide if you want gloss or matte. Personally, I've seen both. Gloss is more appropriate for a children's book, unless you have a reason for choosing matte. I chose matte at first. The other thing to think about, it's actually a bit thinner, the cover, because it hasn't got the gloss laminate over the top. So from my experience, that's why I chose gloss. Matte's nice for an adult's book. It's got a lovely velvety finish to it. So you choose what you fancy. You can always order one. A point on ordering them, you can't order a proof until you have approved the digital proof for the book, at which point you've already paid. So if you want to change anything, you have to pay to change it. So that makes it a bit of a pain. You can't see a physical proof when you've seen it. If you want to change it because you're not happy, you have to pay. So it's a little bit backwards. And also, of course, by that point, orders may have shipped with the choice that you have changed, or with an error or something, because as soon as it goes live, people can start ordering it. So there's just a point there to consider, when you're thinking about who you're going to use and how you're going to use it, and implications to consider. Your page count, Lily has 28. Now I am not going to go any further because it gets to the pricing bit next. It's really straightforward. Look up what other books are selling for, try out different numbers, see what gives you a decent price margin, try out different percentages for your discount to retailers. I think you can do it anything between 30 and 55% or something. You can also look up online what implications those numbers might have. KDP, by the way, only gives you the option of 40%. On Ingram, you can choose, you can play about with it so that you're getting a return that you're happy with. So yeah, I'm not going to show you that bit, but it really is straightforward. You just plumb in the numbers. For territories other than the US, because you set the US price, there's a currency converter, so you can then decide what would be appropriate numbers for the other territories and add those in and see what your margins are like in those countries. Okay, so just so that you know, that's how you do it. I'm not going to go any further. Oh, what I should also say is obviously you then upload your files on Ingram. Once you're happy with everything and you click through and you've seen your digital proof and all of that, and you then have to pay. There are codes online generally if you look to be able to not pay that, but otherwise it's $50 or $49 to upload your file. So make sure that when you're clicking through that you're totally happy with everything, because there's a price with Ingram. So that's everything with Ingram. I'm going to show you on KDP now. Okay, so with KDP again, you create a login, you log in. You can see here I've actually already tried out this video, and honestly, when I was listening to what I was saying, I was talking absolute nonsense. So this is a re-record, so that's the original of this video that you can see there. So you want to add a book. You can see here, like with Ingram, you've got the options of paperbacks, ebooks. Once you've already set up a book, you can see that you can add an ebook. There's only the option for paperback on KDP. You can't do a hardback. So just so you know. Anyway, I'm going to add a paperback. So here we go. So it's in English. My book title, Lily. Again, I'm not going to use the full title so I can tell the difference. Series information. It's called Seaside Stories. And oh dear, stories. And this is number 1. If it's an edition of a book, then you write that in there. You write in here who you are. I'm Emma Rosen and I'm the author. Then if you've got any contributors, I really struggle with that word. Anyone else? You add them in here. So I've got Evgenia, my lovely illustrator, and you choose who she is. So she's an illustrator, and then you can add more if you've got anything else, so like translator, photographer, anything like that you want to add into your list. The description, I'll just copy that back in there. So then I own the copyright. If you're publishing something which is a public domain work, as in something where the copyright is finished, then that's what you select. But I would imagine it's probably quite rare that you do that. Right here, your keywords, in the same way as with Ingram Spark, choose some searchable keywords. So seaside, children's poetry. You can choose 7, so think of 7 appropriate ones. And you can always go back in here and change these, by the way, if you think something else might work better for you. Okay, so browse categories. See, this is very similar to Ingram. So again, you're going to choose, this is fiction. Oh, wait, there was juvenile fiction. So it's juvenile fiction, animals. Do you see how this is? These are the BSAC codes. It's just done in a more friendly way. This is one of the things, KDP is just a little bit more user friendly, but then you have more options with Ingram. There's, you can watch my video where I compare the two, although I made that a year ago, to see some of the differences. But so there's no adult content. So save and continue. Right. So with KDP, you have the option of using one of their ISBNs. It's up to you whether you want to do this. In theory, I suppose that means that they, in a way, own your work, like they're the publisher. If you have an issue with that, buy your own. You can buy them from Nielsen. I forget what the company's called if you're in the US. So you buy your own ISBNs with your own imprint. You can set up your own publishing company. It just depends what you want to do. If you think you're only ever going to publish one book, you may as well just choose a free one. If you're thinking about setting up a publishing company, even if that is just to publish your own books, maybe use your own. I don't know. There's pros and cons. So I've got my own. I would put it in there and then write the name of my imprint in here. Actually, let's look up what my ISBN is. I'm probably not going to be able to go any further. Otherwise, let's look up. Here's Lily on Amazon, and here's her ISBN. Just a quick way of doing it. There we go. Okay, publication date. Now, if it's already published, you write in here when it was published. If not, then basically the book goes live as soon as that goes through, and that becomes your publication date. You can't do a date in advance. Actually, I didn't get to that page on the Ingram one, but you set a date for it to be published, or you can do, so you can have a pre-order phase, whereas with KDP can't. Right, your print options. So you can have black and white with cream, black and white with white. My book Milk is with cream paper. I think it just helps reading because the lower contrast, particularly for people maybe who've got dyslexia, just makes it a little bit more friendly on the eyes. But then on the other hand, the white paper looks really clean and crisp and modern, so it depends what you want to do. Anyway, but this is a children's book, so it's colour. Obviously that only comes with white paper because otherwise it would affect the images, the actual colour. So trim size, Lily is 8.5 by 8.5, so you can pick that. Where is it? 8.5 by 8.5 inches. Bleed settings. Now, if you have used bleed so that your images run to the edge of the pages, you select that. A little note to make, you cannot change this afterwards. I made this mistake when I set up Milk, and I had to email Amazon and say, please, 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 I can't change it, I need to change it. I put no bleed and it has bleed, and so my book looks crazy because all of the formatting is wrong. Kindly, in that instance, they did actually change it, but it's not something you can change yourself, and you never know whether KDP are going to be friendly and cooperative if you need to change it. So make sure you know what you're doing here. Has your book got bleed or not? Then you'll finish matte or gloss. Well, I'm going to choose gloss. Then you upload your manuscript and your cover. Oh, something I didn't say when I was talking about the Ingram one. So Ingram are really fussy. I talked about it a bit in the formatting. You may have to faff around basically to get Ingram to accept your files. When I published Milk, I never managed to get it to accept my ebook files. And with Lily, I had to mess about with my interior pages to get it to accept the PDF. There is stuff online to help you with how to do it, and it does come back with an error code which will help you to know what the matter is. KDP is just a lot easier in that respect. It tends to just go through. So anyway, you put your files in. There's a cover creator if you need that, or you can upload one that you already have, and then it will give you a preview so that you can check the digital cover to see, you know, where the pages will be cut, if there's any issues, if it all looks okay on screen. In the case of KDP, you do have the option of ordering an author copy, and I believe you can do that before the book goes live. I'm not going to make any promises though. And it has like a band around it to say that it's a proof. So if you want to send out pre-released proofs that people can't sell on, then you can do that way. I'm not going to show you the pricing pages. It's very similar to Ingram. It populates all the data with equivalent prices rather than you having to look them up, and then you can fiddle around with them if you want them to be rounder numbers, and you can decide if you want to do expanded distribution or only distribute through Amazon. It's up to you. And pretty much that's that. So good luck with your project, and please let me know in the comments if you've got any tips or any thoughts on any of this or any experience, and let me know about your projects and how they're going. I haven't talked about the other publishers you can use, like Lulu or however. So if you have any extra information that's handy about any of that stuff, because I don't have the experience on those, then again, put it down below. Let's make the comments really useful to each other. I really hope that helped. So yeah, good luck with your project. And so don't forget to subscribe if you'd like more videos about writing and about reading. Please like if you did. And I'll see you all for another video soon. Take care.